everyone and welcome back to the FPL Family YouTube channel. I'm Sam and today it is Jammy Pick time. So again, we are looking for the jammiest pick, the biggest differential, the player that we think is going to have the biggest points haul in game week 5 that is currently owned by under 5% of the game. So this time around I've picked out 3 players. Each of these in their own right is definitely a jammy pick, and they are players that easily could have made the final cut when it comes to being a jammy pick. Now, here they are. So we have Kevin De Bruyne of Manchester City, we have Norwich's Timo Pukki, and we have Semedo there from Wolves. All of these are actually massive differentials, and it isn't very often that you can say that Kevin De Bruyne is a differential, but in this case, he is. So Kevin De Bruyne is currently owned, I'm just looking on my notes, by just 1.3% of the game. So huge differential there when it comes to picking out somebody that could do very well indeed. Now, of course, one of the reasons why Kevin De Bruyne is such a big differential is because he has been injured. Now, of course, when a player comes back from injury, they are going to likely have low ownership, and therefore they could provide you with the catalyst, that big jump up in terms of overall rank that you need. With Kevin De Bruyne, it's much more difficult. His price tag makes it very hard to invest in him, because at this precise moment in time, we're all talking about Lukaku, we're all talking about Ronaldo, we're all talking about these big hitters that we all want to own, the Salahs, the Bruno Fernandes's. All of these players mean that getting Kevin De Bruyne is low down the priority list, particularly as we have only seen him play 11 minutes so far this season. Did play those 11 minutes on return from injury in game week 1 against Spurs. He did have a big impact on that game, and he fundamentally, when it came to the eye test anyway, passed it massively in those 11 minutes and was unlucky not to take something from that game for Manchester City. He was a real spur for the rest of the team, and everything seemed to improve when he came on. 3 take-ons, 2 of those successful, 1 goal attempt, 1 shot on target, 12 passes, 3 crosses, 1 chance created, and 3 corners taken, all in those 11 minutes that he played against Spurs. Then, of course, got injured again, and we haven't seen Kevin De Bruyne since, but was on the bench in game week 4. We are anticipating that he'll return to the starting 11, so maybe it's a little bit risky because, of course, Manchester City do have the Champions League to play this week, but I do suspect that he will have a role to play in game week 5, and that he will have a big impact. Manchester City have won 9 of their last 10 fixtures against Southampton, who they play in game week 5. And in the last time they played this fixture, Kevin De Bruyne got a brace back in March. I think he is going to have a really good game in game week 5. I'm not necessarily sure that he is going to get the full game. I wouldn't have thought so on his return from injury. I suspect that it will be a bit of an ease back in gently. But we saw in those 11 minutes against Spurs, there was huge amounts of potential for him to return in that time that he did get. And of course, Manchester City have come a long way since that team that we saw in game week 1. They have had some fantastic results since that defeat to Spurs in game week 1. So the second guy that I have then on the graphic here is Norwich's Timo Pukki, currently owned by 5% of the game. So just sneaking into that jammy pick territory. I think Pukki is a player that I have been talking about a lot over the last few days, and I suspect that even between shooting this video and it going live on the channel, he might just creep over the 5%, which is why he won't be my final jammy pick, because I'm not convinced that by the game week 5 deadline that he will still be the jammy under 5% differential, because he's sitting bang on 5% as I am recording this. He's playing against Watford in game week 5. So far in these opening 4 game weeks, he's had 6 goal attempts and 2 big chances, and a chance every 52 minutes across the league. Now, when you consider that in that time he's played against Liverpool, City, Leicester, and of course Arsenal in game week 4, so there was never going to be, particularly in those opening 3 fixtures, masses of opportunity for him to get a goal in those opening fixtures, but was creating the opportunities, was getting some goal attempts, and had an XG of 1.31, which was the 9th best amongst forwards so far across the game. I think he could be a nice differential, even if he creeps over the 5%, which I think he might. He's already gone up by 0.1 as I've been watching him today, thinking about who was going to be these jammy picks for this week. I suspect that he will go up over the week, but I do think he will be a nice differential. And if you are trying to budget for a team that's got both Ronaldo and Lukaku in 2 of those front 3 spots, and you're looking to free up some money maybe from that Antonio position if you want to sell him, maybe Pukki is your man. Nice and cheap as well, and of course a differential. And then finally, we have got Semedo of Wolves. Now that Wolves defence has been getting a lot of attention over the last couple of weeks, and we've spoken about them on numerous occasions. It was Marcel that got all the attention in game week 4, of course, because of his massive points haul, but Semedo, like his teammate Sias, could easily have had attacking returns as well as the clean sheet points that they did get. So when we have a little look at Semedo's ownership, he is currently owned by 2.6% of the game. So again, a big differential when you consider him against the other Wolves defenders. So Cody's currently owned by 6.7% because he's cheap, and therefore people are going in on him more than they are necessarily on the others. Sias owned by just 1% of the game. And Marcel, I'm just looking for him on the list, owned by 3.4% of the game. So a differential. And if you don't want to chase the points by going Marcel, who I still think could be a good point pick this week, but Semedo I think has got a real opportunity here to be a really lovely differential, not just against Brentford in game week 5, but as a relatively long-term pick in that team. He was 5th for XG underachievers in game week 4, had an XG of 0.75, which was 8th amongst defenders, and an XGI of 1.13, which is 4th amongst defenders. Those 2 XG stats are across the game so far, so of course that's taking into account game weeks 1 through game week 4. He has had 5 goal attempts so far, 3 of those inside the box. So for a defender, getting into all the right places. 2 big chances from him, registering a chance every 55 minutes so far in the Premier League. 11 penalty area touches, and third best. Wolves are the third best for XGC, so expected goals conceded, with just 2.73. When we compare that to Brentford, and they have the 4th worst XG from open play. So what we should see a clean sheet for Semedo, and I really do think there's a potential there for massive attacking returns like we saw from Marcel in game week 4 for Semedo in game week 5. So all 3 of these looking to be really nice jammy picks this week. I think we'll rule out Pukki on the basis that I don't think he's going to have that under 5% owned status, given he is currently sitting on 5% ownership as I am recording this video. I suspect he might take a few more owners over the course of the week when people look to move off of Antonio. And also, of course, maybe now off of Dominic Calvert-Lewin with the news that he is likely to be out for a couple of weeks. Semedo and KDB is a very, very tough call here, but the fixture plus the return from injury plus the level of goals that this team have been scoring over the last few weeks means that I am going Kevin De Bruyne. You cannot overlook Kevin De Bruyne at the price point that he is, and with the level of ownership that he currently has. We are all talking about building squads with massive premium players in. We all want to own Salah, we want to own Ronaldo, we want to own Lukaku, and that means that for the majority of managers we are not looking at Kevin De Bruyne. And it is when you're not looking at a player that they can really hurt you and they make you stand up and take note of them. I've just got a feeling this is going to be the week where Kevin De Bruyne says, hello Premier League FPL managers, I am back, and now you've got a problem trying to fit me into that team as well. When we look back at this fixture in March, he had a phenomenal game. When we look at the stats for just those 11 minutes that he played against Spurs, if he can return to full fitness and get back inside this starting 11 for this game, having been on the bench in game week 4, we could have the Kevin De Bruyne of old back again. Let me know who you think is your jammy pick of game week 5 in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Is Kevin De Bruyne a good jammy pick for this week? If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. I will be back tomorrow with my second draft of the wild card to let you know where I am and to go in more detail through each of those picks that I had in the live stream, the ones that are staying anyway, and talk about why I'm picking them. And then of course I'll be back on Thursday as usual with the top points picks video for Game Week 5. Thanks for watching, guys.